There are places on the Texas coast that feel built and busy, and then there are places like this. Wind in your face, salt in the air, no boardwalks, no shops, just miles of sand, surf, and sky. Today I'm out on Mustang Island State Park, one of the rawest stretches of coastline Texas has left. We're going to walk it, explore it, and slow things down for a bit, from the dunes to the waterline, and I'll show you what this place is really like if you come out here for yourself. This is Matt, and let's go wander Mustang Island. What's up, YouTube? It's Matt with the Matt Out Here YouTube channel. Today I'm here at Mustang Island State Park, and I'm going to be exploring some of the water, the ocean here along the Gulf of Mexico, and then the beaches here. So come along with me. This one's going to be an interesting one, and let's see what this park has to offer. All right, y'all, let's go. So Mustang Island State Park sits just south of Port Aransas, right here on the Texas Gulf Coast. And the first thing you notice when you step out is how open it feels. There's no condos towering over you, there's no boardwalk shops. It's just sand and wind and water as far as you can see. This place is a little rough around the edges in a really good way. The wind's usually blowing, the surf's always moving, and everything out here feels exposed to the elements. It's not polished, and that's kind of the point. You come here to walk, to fish, to camp, or honestly just wander around and take it all in. It's quiet, it's raw, and it feels more like a working stretch of coast than a tourist beach. You can slow down out here without trying too hard. One of the big reasons people come to Mustang Island State Park is the camping and RV setup. You've got beachfront camping here, which isn't something you find everywhere on the Texas coast. There are both RV sites and tent camping areas, and most of the RV sites come with water and electric hookups. You're basically parked right behind the dunes so you can hear the waves at night and walk straight out to the beach. It's exposed out here and there's not a lot of shade, so wind is part of the deal, especially in the afternoons. That breeze can be a blessing in the summer, but it's something to plan for. Bring stakes, tie things down, and expect sand to be a part of the daily life out here. There are restrooms, showers, and dump stations on site, and everything's pretty straightforward and functional. This isn't luxury camping, unless you want to make it. It's coastal camping. If you like falling asleep to the sound of the surf and waking up right on the beach, this place really delivers. Over by the RV sites, there was a bulletin board sign warning folks about Portuguese man-o'-war, which are sometimes mistaken for jellyfish. They're actually a floating colony of organisms that move with the wind and tides. And they're known for a blue or purple air-filled float and long trailing tentacles that can deliver a painful sting. Even when they wash up on shore and look harmless, those tentacles can still sting, and so it's best not to touch them. You'll usually see these warnings go up after strong winds or rough surf, and it's just a part of being on a natural stretch of coast like this. Next, we went to take a look over at the dunes, and these are doing more work than most people realize. The dunes are basically Mustang Island's first line of defense, so when storms roll in, they take the hit. They slow down wind and they help keep the island from getting carved up. And these grasses out here, they're not just plants on sand, they're what helps hold the dunes together. The wind blows, sand moves, and the grass catches it and helps the dune build over time. You definitely don't need hiking shoes for this adventure. Definitely bring out the sandals for this one. Before this was a state park, before Port Aransas, and before roads and campsites, this island was already being shaped by people and nature working around each other. Mustang Island gets its name from wild horses that once roamed here. These were likely horses brought over by Spanish explorers that either escaped or were left behind, and over time they adapted to life on the barrier islands. They lived off sparse vegetation, fresh water pockets, and whatever the island could offer. And eventually the horses disappeared, but the name stuck, and in a lot of ways it still fits. This place has always been about survival, exposure, and learning how to live with the coast instead of trying to control it. Mustang Island State Park exists today because this stretch of coastline stayed relatively undeveloped compared to other parts of the Texas coast. Barrier islands like this take the full force of storms, wind, and tide, and development here has always been sort of a challenge. Instead of paving it over, this section was preserved so that people could still experience a raw, working coastline that includes dunes, surf, wildlife, and just open space, without it turning into another resort strip. And what you're seeing here is one of the more natural stretches of Texas shoreline that's still accessible to the public. In the dunes we were looking at earlier, they aren't tall or dramatic like you would see in some places, but they're incredibly important. The dunes and grasses slow the storm surge, and they trap sand and help the island rebuild itself after the storms pass through. Everything grows low to the ground for a reason. The wind and the salt spray and the sun don't give much room for error out here. The plants that survive are tough, flexible, and adapted to constant change, which is kind of the theme of this whole island. In that same harsh environment is also what makes this place such good habitat for wildlife. Birds use this island as a stopover during migration, feeding along the shoreline and resting in the dunes and the flats. You'll see shorebirds working the waterline, gulls riding the wind, and pelicans moving low over the surf. Even when it feels quiet, there's always something happening if you just slow down and watch for a moment. And offshore and along the sand, you'll sometimes spot things like jellyfish or starfish drifting in with the tides. Reminders that this coastline is constantly connected to what's happening out in the Gulf. And once you step out onto the beach, everything opens up. There's no buildings and no distractions, just miles of sand and water stretching in both directions. This is the part of Mustang Island that really sets it apart. You can walk for as long as you want, find your own space, and just move at your own pace. The beach feels wide, exposed, and honest, and exactly what you'd expect from a barrier island that's been taking hits from storms for centuries. Whether you're here to fish, surf, walk, or just sit and watch the waves, this stretch of coast gives you room to do it without feeling crowded. One of the things I like about getting out to places like Mustang Island is how quickly it pulls you out of your normal routine. Even just a short trip like this can make a real difference, and there's actually science behind why that happens. When you change environments, especially into a natural setting, your brain starts to shift gears. Stress hormones like cortisol begin to drop, and your nervous system moves out of that constant fight or flight mode most of us live in day to day. At the same time, chemicals like serotonin and dopamine, the ones tied to mood and motivation, tend to increase. Being near the ocean adds another layer to that. The sound of waves has been shown to activate the parasympathetic nervous system, which is the part of your body responsible for rest and recovery. That steady, rhythmic noise helps you slow your breathing, lower your heart rate, and calm the brain without you having to consciously do anything. There's also evidence that time near water can improve focus and creativity by giving the brain a break from constant stimulation. Instead of processing notifications, traffic, and screens, your attention settles into simpler patterns that include movement, sound, and the horizon. That's why even a weekend trip like this can feel so refreshing. You walk more, you breathe deeper, and your body starts regulating itself again. Places like Mustang Island don't just give you space physically, they give your brain and nervous system a chance to reset too. Another piece of this that doesn't get talked about enough is sunlight. Getting natural sun on your skin and in your eyes, especially earlier in the day, plays a big role in how your brain regulates mood and energy. Sunlight helps trigger serotonin production, which is tied to feeling calm, focused, and grounded. It also helps set your circadian rhythm, basically telling your brain when it's time to be alert and when it's time to wind down later. That's one reason people tend to sleep better after spending a day outside. Out here near the coast, you're also getting full spectrum light, not just what you see indoors, and that exposure has been linked to improved mood and overall sense of well-being. It's simple stuff, but it adds up. Sun, movement, open space, and your body knows what to do with that. Next, I went down to the jetties. Just down the coast are the jetties, and they're here for a reason. These rock structures were built decades ago to protect the ship channel and keep it from constantly filling in with sand. Without them, navigation in and out of the bay would be a constant battle. Over time, the jetties did more than just manage the water. They changed how this stretch of coastline works. The rock breaks the waves, funnel current, and create deeper cuts along the edge, which is why they've become such a hot spot for fishing. Anglers come out here targeting redfish, speckled trout, flounder, and whatever else is moving through the channel that day. The moving water pushes bait along the rocks and predators know it. After Mustang Island, we cruised back over into Port Aransas to poke around a bit and check out some of the classic roadside attractions, including a couple of those big shark displays that have been pulling people in for years. Stuff like that feels simple, but it's part of what makes coastal towns fun. You're not rushing anywhere, you're just wandering, stopping when something catches your eye. And then we also pulled off along the Port Aransas beach, which was not part of the state park system, just to cruise around a little bit and walk around the shoreline for a bit and take it in. Totally different vibe from the park. It's more open and there's more people and more movement. What really stands out about the Port Aransas beach is just how accessible and expansive it is. This stretch runs along the Mustang Island, which is about 18 miles long, and much of it is open beach where you can drive, park close, and step straight onto the sand. There's no long walks and there's no gates, you're just immediately at the water. Historically, this area has always been tied to movement and trade. The nearby Port Aransas Pass has been a critical shipping and fishing route for over a century, and the beach itself has long been used by anglers, commercial fishermen, and families coming down from inland Texas for a break from the heat. Even today, it still feels like a working coastline, not just a vacation spot. The Gulf of Mexico shapes everything here. Constant wave action moves sand along the shore, reshapes the beach season to season, and supports the near-shore ecosystem that keeps baitfish, birds, and predators close to land. That's why you'll see birds working the surf line, people fishing right from the sand, and trucks rolling slowly along the water's edge. It's not quite protected like the park is, but that's part of the appeal. There's energy here, wind, waves, people, and it feels like a place that's meant to be used, not just looked at. To wrap up the drive down the coastline, I spotted a couple people pulled off in the distance feeding a whole group of seagulls, and naturally I had to see what all the excitement was about. So I rolled down the window and tossed out a few chips, and instantly it turned into absolute chaos. The seagulls went into a full-on frenzy, swooping in from every direction, calling each other in and cleaning everything up in seconds. It's funny how fast word travels out here. One bird figures it out and suddenly the whole crew shows up. It was one of those random coastal moments you don't plan for, but it's just kind of perfectly wrapped up the day. From there, we kept rolling down the coast towards Corpus Christi to grab lunch and explore a little before calling it a day. Corpus has a different energy. It's bigger, it's busier, and it's a little more spread out, but it still feels tied to the water in the same way. Ships moving through the channel, there's bait shops, marinas, and people heading out or just coming back in. Corpus has a lot to offer. There's tons of food, lots of places to stay, and a lot to see and a lot to explore. That's kind of the beauty of this stretch of the coast. In one day you can go from the quiet dunes and open beach to small town character, to a working coastal city, all connected by the same water. There's no big plan, no strict schedule, just moving, exploring, and letting the day unfold.
Well, folks, that's going to be a wrap on this video. I hope y'all enjoyed Mustang Island and the beach here as much as I did. Be on the lookout for some really neat adventures ahead. I got some cool stuff planned. But until the next one, y'all take care.